He should not have said it out loud, but once the words left my mouth, there was no way to take them back. Your leadership is the reason people in this company are burning out. Room froze. 20 executives sat around that long glass table on the 52nd floor of Aurora Tower. The air was so still I could hear someone's pen stop moving. Even the screen behind me, the presentation I had spent 11 sleepless nights building, felt suddenly irrelevant. And at the head of the table sat the most powerful woman in the building, Victoria Sterling, CEO, founder, corporate legend. The woman who could end my career before lunch. She didn't react immediately. That was the terrifying part. Victoria Sterling never raised her voice. She never slammed tables or threw papers. She simply looked at you the way a surgeon looks at a problem before deciding where to cut. "Are you finished, Mr. Hayes?" she asked calmly. I shook my head. "No, I'm not." That was the moment I knew I had crossed the line. Because no one, literally no one, ever pushed back on Victoria Sterling. Not in meetings, not in public, not in a room full of senior leadership and investors. But my team had worked 14-hour days for almost 2 weeks straight. One of them had missed his son's birthday. Another had fallen asleep at his desk the night before. And Victoria had just dismantled the entire campaign like it was a homework assignment she found disappointing. "You're asking people to give everything they have," I said, "but you're treating them like they're replaceable parts." Silence. Someone across the table slowly closed their laptop. Victoria leaned back in her chair. "You're a creative director," she said evenly, "not a labor advocate." "Maybe," I replied, "but I'm also the guy who has to look my team in the eyes when they're falling apart." Now everyone in the room was staring at me. Marcus from finance looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Sandra from marketing gave me the expression people reserve for someone who has just stepped in front of a moving train. Victoria stood up. She didn't slam the table. She didn't shout. She just stood. And somehow the room felt smaller. "You want to talk about pressure?" she said quietly. "Do you understand what happens if this launch fails?" Her voice was calm, too calm. 4,000 employees depend on the outcome of this quarter. Investors, partners, families. If we miss the window, the cost will be far greater than a few late nights. Late nights, I repeated. 3 people on my team haven't had dinner with their families in 2 weeks. Her eyes sharpened. "Brilliance without empathy," I said before my brain could stop my mouth, "is just cruelty with better vocabulary." Someone inhaled sharply. I realized then that I had probably just committed professional suicide. Victoria stared at me. For 2 long seconds neither of us spoke. Then she did something no one expected. She walked around the table. Every person in that room watched her move toward me like they were witnessing an execution. My heart was hammering, but I didn't step back. If I was getting fired, I wasn't going to flinch. She stopped right in front of me, close enough that I could see the faint crease between her brows, the one that appeared whenever she was thinking too fast. Her hand reached up and grabbed my tie. For a split second, I thought she was about to straighten it. Some cold power moved to remind everyone who was in charge. Instead, she kissed me, not a polite kiss, not a hesitant one. It was fierce and sudden and completely impossible to misunderstand. 3 seconds. 3 seconds that detonated every rule in the room. When she pulled away, no one breathed. Not the CFO, not the legal director, not the COO, no one. Victoria leaned in slightly, so close only I could hear her. "Stop fighting me all the time." Then she let go of my tie, turned around, and walked out of the conference room, quietly. The door clicked shut behind her. For a long time no one said anything. Finally Philip from operations cleared his throat. "Well," he muttered, "that was new." I didn't stay to hear the rest. I left the building at 5:15 that evening with my head still spinning. The cold December air hit my face like a reset button. New York was already glowing with holiday lights. Street vendors selling roasted chestnuts. Carolers outside Rockefeller Center. The city doing its usual trick of pretending everything was magical even when life was complicated. But all I could think about was what had happened in that room. Because there were now 7 senior executives who had just watched their CEO kiss me in the middle of a leadership meeting, and HR was definitely going to have questions. I took the subway home, transferred once, and arrived at Sparrow's Landing Children's Center just before 6. Through the front window I saw Lily, 7 years old, dark hair, my stubborn jawline. She was sitting on a small chair near the door watching the street like she always did, waiting for me. The second she spotted me, she vanished from the window. 30 seconds later the door burst open and she ran straight into my arms. Daddy. I lifted her and held on a little longer than usual. She noticed immediately. Lily always noticed. Tough day. She asked into my coat, something like that. She leaned back and studied my face carefully. She had been doing that since she was 5, like she was running quiet emotional diagnostics on me. The scary boss lady again. She asked. I blinked. How do you know about her? You talk in your sleep sometimes, Lily said matter-of-factly, and your face does a thing when you're worried. She scrunched her face in a painfully accurate imitation of my stress expression. I laughed despite myself. We walked down the block to the hot chocolate cart. Thursday night ritual, 2 cups, extra marshmallows. Snow had started to fall, light and uncertain. She's not really scary, I said eventually. Lily thought about that while blowing on her drink. Maybe she's lonely, she said. I stopped walking. Lonely. Mrs. Paulson says mean people are usually just sad people who forgot how to say it. I stared at my daughter. You're always nicer to sad people, Lily added, so maybe you're fighting her because you think she's mean. She took another sip, but maybe she's just sad. I didn't answer right away, because suddenly the image of Victoria standing alone on that rooftop garden flashed through my mind. Perfect, controlled, untouchable, and completely alone. Lily tugged my sleeve. Daddy. Yeah. Did you make the scary boss lady sad today? I hesitated, because for the first time all day I realized something strange. I wasn't angry about the kiss. I wasn't even embarrassed. What scared me was something else, something far more dangerous. Because when Victoria Sterling kissed me, it hadn't felt like power, it had felt like desperation, and I had no idea what that meant, or why she had just texted me 10 minutes ago asking to meet her alone on the roof.